So I wanted to talk about a couple of stories on this particular episode, two to be specific. There is a Sangoma from Limpopo who has been challenging the ZCC church, the Dove Church. Most times when people are talking, they are talking about the Star Church. She has been doing these videos where she says that she is prophesying something, or she's kind of like says she's exposing something about things. And I wanted to talk about that part, the idea of exposure outside of the Bible. I wanted to talk about that because I think it's important we come to that, because we are seeing a lot of that, and a lot of people still consider all exposure just as the same. And I think it's very important we have that conversation. Do you see the difference? Is it all the same? Y'all tell me your thoughts concerning that. The second thing that I wanted to hear your thoughts about is a second story that it is not a church story necessarily, but it's of an individual. There was an individual that trended or went viral, I think a year or so ago, by the name of Coach Noni. I'm not sure exactly what this individual is, whether it's trans or what, but he's born male, but people refer to him as she. So a lot of times Noni's content tends to be kind of like speaking about how women how women should seek to attract high value men. This term high value men, for people that are in church, I don't know what that is. It's this idea that there are people who by achievements I have a high value, whether it be in their personality, wealth, or status in society, position in society, all of that. This makes them high value individuals. And so Noni speaks to women particularly, to say women must do this and this. And unfortunately, a lot of Noni's content tends to be demeaning to women. To Noni, a woman who has a child is just, no value whatsoever. If she cannot look forward to either marriage or what. She shouldn't even, she's completely out. Noni's content tends to question what grade do you think? Do you think you are an A, you are a 1, 2, 3, 4, are you a 5, are you a 6? Basically on beauty, on appearance, things that you don't even have an influence on. It's not like when we were born, I would like a lighter skin. We didn't make that contribution, but in Noni's content, there tends to be that. Now, he posted some content, and he got invited to some events. And when he got to an event, he found the event was not real, and instead, there were people waiting for him, and it turned ugly very quickly. And so you can see there's a theme between these videos here. It's the interactions after whatever engagement has happened. And I thought, let's have that conversation. It's Strict Reality Show with the Daily Christian Commentary videos. Now, that was a very long intro. I had to give you a little bit of background, especially on the second one, because many people might likely not know these things. Now, I didn't post videos the last 2 days. I was either exhausted or overly occupied. Friday, I think I watched a terrible video that just kind of had me watching other things and whatnot, and I ended up involved in the other work, and I never actually got to make the videos. And then Saturday was also just another day again where I mostly try and rest on Saturdays, so that you don't want to start the week a little bit too exhausted. So I'm gonna make it up to you, and those videos I will add an episode per day until I've made up for those episodes that would have come out on thingy. And so instead of getting 3, you might get 4. So not you might, you will get 4. And so do look out for that extra episode that comes out at the end of the day, 8 o'clock preferably. So let's talk about the first story. Let me start with the Noni story because it's a very short one. And so Noni's content, or this offense stuff, or this offense bait content, has led these people to create a fake event, right? And they called Noni up. Noni calls himself a coach Noni, so relationships coach. Claims that he's trained others or brought others to a place of actually even finding partners with this coaching. Now, a very interesting factor out of it is that, unfortunately, it was only building hate from some women. And as a result, over time, I don't know how far this was, because they claim there was a fake event that was created, looked legit. They sent him thinking, they sent him details and got him to the event. And before you know it, there were videos where he looked a little bit bloody a few days back, because apparently these people were not real, and they were only there to lure him to get to the event, or to get to the fake event too, and stuff like that, just to fight, basically. And so it kind of reminds you the interactions online. You see, the LO classes we attended, remember, life orientation. Yeah, you see that's that class that we used to attend, which you might think was common. It's not so common. Okay, not everybody is going to approach. We used to talk about in LO. We used to talk about conflict resolutions. You see, this is why some people were failing LO, because or they were either cramming it and not going any further with it. Is that there is no conflict resolution. The conflict is going to be resolved in other ways that LO was advising otherwise. And so, and social media has only increased this, because there was a Maskandi musician, when was it? Was it a month or so ago, a month and a half or so, a month ago or so, who, because of these interactions on social media, they're taunting people or whatnot, he ended up getting shot because of this interactions on social, and all of it comes from TikTok. This stuff that I'm talking about is all popular on TikTok. This is content from TikTok. And so TikTok tends to just attract the worst kind of thing. I've seen it even in my own thing. There was a lot of that. You just see the worst kind in interactions on TikTok. Facebook, people tend to just say whatever whatever comes to their mind. On YouTube, people think a little bit more because the content is a little bit longer. But on Facebook, they just quick. They want to say whatever comes to their head, face on. But on TikTok, because of ease of creating the content, there is also this weight of how they respond. And I'm starting to see a lot more of that with this entire Noni thing. Got beat up because of the content. It might have not been a direct response to a single individual, or it might be just the content itself led to that. And so let us keep watch out there. Now, this takes me to the lady, the Sangoma lady that I was talking about. So this lady has been making content. She is a Sangoma, very clearly so. And over the last couple of days, looks like there were some ZCC people that came over. Now, you can see she's clearly a Sangoma, but her content was zooming in on the ZCC star. Now, dove, basically, the ZCC dove. Now, if you go further down a little bit more, you will see why. You see, the content was targeted at the ZCC dove. You can see right there. She made a lot of these videos, this lady. If you scroll down, I think you can see why this came. I think before her initiation into this, she might have been a member of this church, because I did see videos or a picture that showed her with some people from this church. So if you scroll down on her profile, it's all the way down, you find that she was standing with some people that are from the ZCC church. Earlier content was, God. That's the kind of content that she posted. So I'm guessing by this time maybe she used to attend a church, or whichever type of a church. Maybe she was in the ZCC church. I don't know. But later on, then converted to African spiritual practices, mainly the ZCC exposures. And she has this strange thing, which is the reason why she actually was going viral. It's because she uses this strange stick in consulting the spirits to get these messages of hers. And she's always consulting about sacrifices, who's been sacrificed, like a lot of stuff. Okay, she has a lot of stuff that she actually talks about. And so this has led to some, I don't know if these are members. She claims that maybe the ZCC church has sent these people. We don't know that. But we do see that particular clip got a lot of attention. 200,000 in particular here. So these videos have got a lot of attention on a page because of these videos that she was making about this church, right? And they sent these guys. I don't know if these are from the church or they might be local branch, because ZCC tends to have those. You have local branches, and then the elders in that local branch might be the ones that know maybe the granny, or because she's shown pictures with these people. So there are people that within the branches they might be able to say, oh yeah, we know her from this branch. We know her from Limpopo in this area. And so they're able to get the elders to go over there and say and have these conversations and stuff like that. So very interestingly is that it comes back to this very same thing that I'm talking about. Dialogue. What dialogue are we building online? I think when we look back, this is why I wanted to talk about not all exposure is the same exposure. There is people that just get into exposure outside of biblical exposure, right? And so we can be talking about the same thing, but because we are talking about it within a certain theme of authority, I might be speaking about it from a Bible's perspective, or what someone's speaking about it from their own perspective. But either ways, it's very important we note there's a difference between biblical exposure within doctrine and so forth, and generals. You can pick it up. There's many different. Okay, I don't have to be very specific. There's a difference. Not all exposure is biblical. You get me? Not all exposure is biblical. There can be people that actually expose without having any intention towards God, like at all. And so not all exposure is biblical exposure. And so I'm not saying anything about those particular interactions in particular. What I am just highlighting here is that we note social media has only increased this type of interactions where there's this type of confrontations and so forth. And then base ground, it just makes us remember or think back at that point that I'm mentioning or highlighting. Not all exposure is biblical. There are exposures. Yes, there is truth being exposed. There may be truth that is exposed in one way or the other, whichever ones. And I'm not talking about this lady. I repeat, I'm not talking about this lady. I'm just saying, in its grand scheme, there is a lot of people that expose things. That does not mean it's biblical. Right? So, my question to the viewer is, what kind of exposure, or the person who's watching, what kind of exposure do you think God wants us to be engaged in? I'll leave that question to you guys over there. Structurality Show with daily Christian commentary videos. I'll wait to hear your responses down in the comment section, and I'll make up for the videos that I didn't post on the previous days. Y'all have a good one.